Most people growing up learn to speak and understand the language of our parents, siblings, and friends, whether that's English, Spanish, Chinese, or so on. Regardless of whether we learn additional secondary languages, we will usually feel most comfortable speaking that first language. This concept can be applied to the 5 languages of love, derived from Dr. Gary Chapman's bestseller, The 5 Love Languages: The Secret to Love That Lasts. Dr. Chapman's book is a New York Times international bestseller, and over 11 million copies have been sold worldwide, in English and translated into 49 additional languages. After 30 years of experience in marriage counseling, Chapman writes about one fundamental truth: people speak in different love languages. And the best way for someone to truly feel the love that someone else is trying to communicate is through his or her primary love language. This video is going to be a quick synopsis of the 5 Love Languages book, written by Dr. Chapman, and the key takeaways that my wife and I got out of it after reading and discussing the book in its entirety.
Going back to linguistics, if you are communicating your love in, say, Spanish, but your significant other love language is German, then you won't understand each other fully, no matter how hard you try. By the same token, speaking your spouse's primary love language would make your beloved feel loved, respected, and secure in the relationship. Chapman identified 5 basic love languages: words of affirmation, quality time, receiving gifts, acts of service, and physical touch.
Most couples don't have the same love language, and even those who do might speak different dialects within that language. Just like there could be different dialects within one given language, like Cantonese versus Mandarin Chinese, for example. It's essential to learn your significant other's primary language for emotional love, and then learn to communicate love in this way to help boost their emotional health. The book describes this concept as keeping your emotional love tank full. Inside every man, woman, and child is an emotional tank waiting to be filled with love and affection. Learning to keep the emotional love tank full is as important to a marriage as maintaining the proper oil level is to a car. It is, in fact, the key to a long-lasting, loving, and fulfilled marriage.
So let's dive deeper into each love language. Language number 1, words of affirmation. Look for your spouse's strengths and tell him or her how much you appreciate those strengths. This is primarily through words that build up, whether spoken or written. It consists of straightforward statements of affirmation, compliments of words of appreciation. Having a kind and sincere tone is very important. One of the dialects is encouraging words, which might help your spouse reach some untapped potential. Chapman reminds us that this is not pressuring your loved one to do something you want, but encouraging them to develop an interest they already have. For that, one must first learn what is important to your spouse and see the world from their perspective. To love each other, we need to communicate openly. When we express our wants and desires, how this is communicated is crucial. Making needs known as requests, not demands, show that you understand that you are equal adult partners. A request affirms your lover's worth and abilities. It always involves choice. A fulfilled request gives your loved one the chance to communicate that he cares about you. Demanding or nagging could get you what you want, but it would not be an act of love. If your significant other's love language is words of affirmation, negative or demeaning comments will hurt even more. So remember, words and tone matter.
To its core, quality time is giving someone your full and undivided attention. It does not necessarily mean sitting on the couch watching TV or Netflix, or just being in close proximity while multitasking or scrolling through your phone. Giving your undivided attention is essentially giving time of your life, which is finite, and you'll never get it back. You are emotionally communicating to your spouse that he or she is worth your precious time. There are 2 main dialects of quality time explained in the book: quality conversation and quality activities. Where words of affirmation has a focus on what we are saying, quality conversation focuses primarily on what we are hearing. It is engaging and sympathetic dialogue in which you two as individuals are sharing your thoughts, feelings, experiences, and desires in a genuine effort to understand one another at a deeper emotional level. Giving advice during quality conversation can be well received, but only if requested, and if it does not come off as condescending. Resist the temptation to problem solve when your loved one is looking for a sympathetic ear. Learning to speak quality conversation requires you to express your feelings and thoughts, both positive and negative. This can be a challenging endeavor for people who are not comfortable with sharing their feelings or pouring out their hearts, even with their spouse. However, just like any language, it is possible to learn and improve on it by repetition. Setting aside time during the day to talk about things that happen to you and share your feelings about them will help you to feel more comfortable with the art of quality conversation. Quality activities will involve you and your spouse engaging in some common pursuit, such as preparing a meal together, learning a language, learning to dance, doing a project, or any other activity with a goal or objective in mind. Taking part in an experience together is highly important for some individuals, as well as knowing that someone else is willing to try something you enjoy with a positive attitude. This can be anything in which one or both have an interest. Is there something that your loved one has mentioned throughout the years? Try it out. The essential ingredients are 1. At least one person wants to do it. 2. The other person is willing to do it. And 3. Both of you know why you are doing it. To express love by being together. A gift is a visual representation of love, whether it's bought, handcrafted, or found. It is tangible and can be felt and seen. Usually, the price of the gift won't matter much to your spouse, unless it doesn't align with what you can afford. For example, a millionaire that gives a cheap $1 gift without much sentiment behind it might not fill their spouse's love tank at all. In contrast, a $1 gift from someone whose finances are limited might speak $1 million worth of love. If you are a natural saver, spending money as an expression of love might not be too appealing. You might think that this money could go towards something else, such as an investment that will help you to grow your money and ensure financial stability, which is of course an important element to any relationship. However, it is also important to visualize this particular act of love as an essential investment in and of itself. You are not spending money for the sake of spending money, but you are investing into your relationship and filling your spouse's emotional love tank. With a full love tank, he or she is far more likely to reciprocate and fill your own love tank through your primary love language. Additionally, the gift of self or presence, being there in a time of crisis or when your spouse needs you or desires your presence for a specific reason, speaks volumes for someone whose primary language is receiving gifts. This gift of physical presence during a crucial time, such as the death of a loved one, a major accident resulting in significant injury, or losing a job, is a dialect of receiving gifts. This is a powerful gift because your partner truly needs you and desires your presence to feel secure and comforted.
Another way some people feel love is through acts of service, which means doing things for your spouse that you know they would like for you to do or assist them with. For example, cleaning the apartment or folding laundry, dealing with the insurance company, helping a kid with homework, or washing the car. They are actions that help to ease your burdens or share household responsibilities. Typically, acts of service require at least some thought and energy, and if done with a positive spirit, they are acts of love. Broken commitments, laziness, and unwillingness to help send the message that your spouse does not matter, or that you take them for granted. The importance of requests versus demands comes into play with acts of service. Criticism is an ineffective way of pleading, but it can help you discover your spouse's needs. Communicate to ask for clarification. And even if you and your spouse share the acts of service love language, you may have different dialects or value different types of support. Ask your loved one to make a list of things they would like you to do in the next month and prioritize them 1 through 10. And then do them. Doing such acts of service with a positive attitude and willingness to help will speak words of love to your spouse. Love language number 5, physical touch. This consists of both explicit and implicit touches. Where explicit touches may demand your full attention, such as a massage, implicit touches do not require much thought, like sitting close to each other, cuddling, or briefly kissing when passing each other. Lack of physical touch for people whose primary love language is this could damage their sense of self-worth. They might feel rejected, unwanted, and unloved, and tend to withdraw from their spouse. However, if their partner takes the initiative to give physical touch, their spirit will rise drastically. That being said, it is especially important to learn to speak your partner's physical touch dialect. Your spouse might find some touches uncomfortable or irritating, and continuing those is not being sensitive to their needs. Chapman warns us not to make the mistake of thinking that a touch that brings pleasure to you will bring pleasure to them. Within a marriage, the couple themselves determines what appropriate touching entails.
Here are, in our opinion, the most important points Dr. Chapman teaches us in his book, The 5 Love Languages. Takeaway number 1. Going beyond the honeymoon stage. Every relationship experiences a honeymoon stage, which provides each partner with an emotional high or euphoria. Chapman calls this the in-love experience, and as beautiful and wonderful as the in-love experience is, every couple is bound to eventually fall off that emotional high. They will discover that they are two individuals with individual desires, emotions, thoughts, and behavior patterns that will differ from each other at times. This is when true love begins, where each partner in a relationship is making a conscious choice and effort to love someone in the way that they truly feel love, even if it's not natural to themselves.
Takeaway number 2. Fill the love tank. Having a filled emotional love tank extends far beyond your relationship with your significant other. A full tank will allow you to feel secure in your spouse's love, and the whole world will open up to you as you truly feel motivated to reach your highest potential in life. In contrast, an empty tank will likely leave you feeling bitter and used as opposed to loved and cared for. The road to achieving your greatest potential for good in this world will be much more difficult and feel more out of reach. With empty love tanks, couples will tend to argue and withdraw. But when the love tank is full, we are creating an environment of understanding our differences and a willingness to come up with solutions to avoid divisiveness. Takeaway number 3. How to discover your love language and that of your spouse. Chapman suggests to ask yourself, how do you regularly express love to your spouse? You probably have a natural tendency to communicate that you care in the way you would want to receive love. What have you most often requested of your spouse? What does your spouse do or fail to do that impact you negatively? The opposite of what is hurting you is probably your love language. You could also make suggestions to each other on ways you could help to make one another feel loved. Provide feedback to each other consistently, monthly, weekly, or even daily. There's also a free quiz on Dr. Chapman's website, which you can take to determine your primary love language, as well as which other languages might fill your emotional love tank more than others.
Takeaway number 4. It's okay not to share the same language. Can two people with entirely different primary languages of love be compatible? Of course. There probably exist couples who do speak the same primary language. Still, Chapman believes the majority of married couples in the world likely do not. Even those who do share the same language may speak different dialects within that language. For example, the two of us have a different primary love language, words of affirmation and acts of service. But we share the same secondary language, which is quality time. Like we mentioned before, there are probably some languages aside from your primary language that you resonate with more than others. You might have a language that is a close second to your primary in terms of filling your love tank. Although we both express love through quality time as a secondary language, we speak different dialects. She appreciates quality conversation, whereas I am much more attuned to quality activities. In a nutshell, however, Chapman stresses the importance of learning to speak your spouse's primary love language for them to truly 100%, without a doubt, feel and understand the love you're trying to communicate.
Takeaway number 5. Love is intentional. The most important takeaway from this book is that love is and always will be a choice. Chapman stresses that the kind of love that lasts past the infatuation or honeymoon stage requires effort, energy, and discipline. You are constantly choosing to show love to your spouse in a way that genuinely fills their emotional love tank. That in turn leads them to reciprocate in showing you love in your primary language and filling your emotional love tank.
By learning to speak each other's primary love language, our need for love will continue to be satisfied after the honeymoon stage. By not speaking each other's primary love language, our love tank will slowly drain, and we will no longer feel loved.
The good news is that since long-lasting love is a choice, love could be reborn if both spouses have learned to love each other in their primary love language. Chapman says that when we choose active expressions of love in our spouse's love language, we create an emotional climate where we can deal with our past conflicts and failures.
Even if you don't feel like it or it does not feel natural, our actions can precede our emotions. We are choosing to speak our spouse's primary love language for their benefit. It's an expression of love. The more we practice, the more comfortable we are using it.
Meeting your loved one's emotional needs is a choice that you make every day. That is the secret to love that lasts far beyond the initial in love experience all new couples have. It is the secret to a true, intentional, and committed love.
Thank you so much for watching this video. We hope you found it helpful in understanding the different ways of communicating and receiving love, as described by Dr. Chapman's 5 love languages. Please see links to take the online quiz to discover your primary love language, and to purchase a copy of the 5 love languages book in the description box below. If you've already read it, do you agree with the takeaways we discussed? What's your primary love language? Comment and subscribe. Have a wonderful day.